Hello my beautiful friends and welcome back. So we are back today with a girl talk. I got you guys to send in your questions, your dilemmas over on Instagram. These are genuinely my all-time favourite videos to film because we get to chat through such a variety of different topics, and it always feels to me like we're two best friends on FaceTime having a good natter, because when you're on FaceTime to your best friend you literally do jump from topic to topic. But we have some really juicy questions today, so I'm very excited. But before we dive right on into the questions, I would just like to thank Fabletics for sponsoring today's video. I have been a brand ambassador for Fabletics for 4 years now, which is absolutely crazy. I genuinely wear them all the time. And in them 4 years, I have never seen them have such good deals as what they currently have on right now. So for the month of May, you can get any 2 leggings on site for £19. So they have reduced this offer even more. It's normally 2 for £24, but for the month of May you can save an extra £5. And on top of that, they also have 80% off absolutely everything on site. So yeah, I will have a link down below in my description box. But oh my goodness, May's drop is probably my all-time favourite drop that they have ever done. I genuinely feel like they curated this drop solely for me. So I'm sure you all know by now how obsessed I am with the OASIS Twist sports bra that Fabletics do, but they're now after bringing out a new version of it. So they're after bringing out the OASIS Twist ribbed sports bra, and they're also after bringing out a selection, a new range of colours in it, and oh my god, it's just everything I could ask for and so much more. So we have this pink sunset set. This is literally the most perfect shade of pink I have ever put on my body in my life. Like, they have got this colour so right. We also have another version of this set, and of course you can mix and match like you can with all of Fabletics pieces. So these are the OASIS crossover rib kick flare, and the crossover detailing on these flares are so insanely flattering. Fabletics have this crossover detailing on a number of their leggings and flares, and I love it so much. Then we also have the OASIS Twist rib built-in bra tank. So it has a built-in bra, so it does give you that extra little lift, and it is obviously also supportive. We also have this jumpsuit, and oh my god, they have added the OASIS Twist detailing into these jumpsuits, and they're also ribbed, and they are just so figure hugging. And then we also have the OASIS high-waisted rib shorts, 6-inch. These are absolutely stunning. They also have a drawstring. I just feel like you can never go wrong with a drawstring, and it's also a functional drawstring. It's not just one of them drawstrings that are there for luck, you know, it works. And then we have the OASIS Twist ribbed sports bra again in taupe slate, so it's like this gorgeous grey. But yeah, so many gorgeous bits online at the minute that have just dropped this month. As you can see, we've got a lot of their OASIS collection, which I absolutely adore. If you have had your eye on some pieces, or you've been thinking about getting something for a while, I would really urge you to do it this month, because I don't know how long they're going to keep the 2 for £19 deal on, or how long they're going to have 80% off absolutely everything. So definitely go and have a little look if you're interested. I will have a link down below. Okay, let's dive right on in. So, I'm worried my boyfriend is gay. He can be who he wants to be, but he wants to marry me, and I fear in the future he will divorce me if/when he realises. It's making me doubt our relationship. He says he isn't, but he gives off the vibe way too much, and even my friends make jokes about him. Now, I feel like this is a very valid concern to have, because you obviously have your reasons to feel the way you do, and it's an experience that a lot of women do live through, you know. One that comes to my head is Philip Schofield. Like, I remember being really young and, you know, always seeing him on the telly and being like, is he gay? And then being told that he was married with a wife and he had multiple kids. I still always felt like he was gay, just like a lot of other people did, you know, because people, as you say, they give off a vibe, you know, like a lot of people can read that, I suppose, especially in this day and age where, you know, there are a lot of people who are very open and out about their sexuality. And then obviously he did eventually end up coming out as gay, you know, and him and his wife split up and yada yada yada. And a lot of men do this, you know, a lot of gay men do this for multiple reasons, you know. Maybe they come from a really religious family and their, you know, family won't accept them, so they put on a quote unquote front and they get married and they have kids, but then they'll also be leading like a quote unquote double separate life. Some women never find out, sometimes these men do come out, you know, so this is a real thing that actually happens. What I would say is it a possibility that he grew up with really emotionally available parents, and he's just more feminine, because there are very feminine men who are fully straight, you know, that could give off that vibe but are actually straight. And I feel like it has a lot to do with your upbringing and how you were raised. I feel like another thing to ask yourself, because you've clearly already asked him, you know, you said that he said he isn't, so you clearly have raised this conversation with him, but I'd also ask yourself, like, is it a possibility that he could be bisexual? Because there are also, of course, a lot of men who are bisexual, and no matter your sexuality, you know, there's always a chance that your partner could find somebody else and leave you. But I know if somebody realises they're gay along the line, you know, you're never going to be able to give them what they need, you know, if they are fully gay. A lot of this, I feel like, as well comes down to, can you trust him? Can you trust his word? Or do you think that there's more than meets the eye? And only you're going to be able to answer that question. Okay, so we have some questions around the topic of marriage. So the first one is, I'm getting married and everyone is having an opinion. I'm so fed up. And then we have more of a detailed one. So my boyfriend proposed to me last week and I'm so happy, but now I have a pending question. There are some of my relatives that I only want at the celebration in the church but not at the after party. Reason being, it's been years since I last saw them. Also, they're quite some people, 15. And my fiance and I aren't rich, but I still want them to be at the ceremony. Now my question is, how can I invite them only to the church celebration without offending them? Note that their parents, my aunt and uncle, will be invited both to the celebration and after party. I really need advice. I feel like this happens to everybody, oh my god, and what I've witnessed when it comes to weddings is absolute insanity. Everyone really does have an opinion, and it blows my mind, because all going well, of course, you know, you're only going to get married once, you're only going to have one wedding day, and it's your day. It is nobody else's day. So why people feel so entitled to have an opinion on somebody else's wedding day is so beyond me. The way I'd go about this is, I'd say we have a small budget for the wedding. So the way we've decided to do things is to only invite people to the after party what we've seen, what we've spent time with and spoken to in the last year or 2 years, or whatever time frame you want to put on it. This is something a lot of people do, you know, when it comes to deciding who to invite to their wedding. It's like, have we interacted with you in the last year, you know? Are we close enough, you know? Are you actually in my life? Because so much drama goes on around weddings, like, you know, your parents might be like, oh, Auntie Mary's so upset that she didn't get an invite, and you're like, well, I haven't spoken to Auntie Mary in 10 years, so why would she get an invite? You know, she's as good as a stranger to me on the street. Like, we're not in each other's lives, what are you on about? So I feel like that would be the best way of going about it, you know, be like, we'd love to have you at the church celebration, but unfortunately, due to our tight budget, we're only going to be able to have X amount of people, just say 50 people at the after party. So the way we decided on who to invite is who we've, you know, actually interacted with on a personal level, who's in our personal lives in the last year. I feel like you need to have a strong why to give people, so that they are less likely to come back and be like, but you know, this is literally the exact reason that when I get married, I want to get married abroad, and I want to get married and only have like 20, 30, 40 people there. As few people as possible, because oh my god, I could actually not deal with this stress. And I feel like, you know, obviously when you get married abroad, a lot of people don't want to go anyway because it's going to cost people to go. And, you know, I feel like that always makes things a little bit easier if you do decide to get married abroad. It's normally naturally going to be a smaller wedding, whereas if you're getting married in your hometown, in your home country, it's much easier for people to get there. In years to come, you want to be able to look back at your wedding as a fond memory. You don't want to be looking back at it and looking at photos and being like, why was she there? Why was he there? She caused so much drama. He stirred the pot at the wedding. You don't want that. Okay, so my boyfriend told me to ask him if I can post photos of us on social media because he wants to stay nonchalant about it all. I'm his first relationship, so I want to cut him some slack, but is this a red flag? I feel like there was a typo here, and I feel like what you meant to say was that he doesn't want you to post photos of yous together on social media. And if that is the case, I would say it's a red flag, first relationship or not, because we all consume social media in some form. Like, even if you don't have Instagram or TikTok, you know, maybe you watch YouTube videos. It is literally part of our generation now. And I totally understand if somebody, just say he doesn't use social media and he doesn't post on his Instagram and then he didn't want to post you guys. I feel like that's not a red flag, because if they don't post at all, okay, you don't post anything, you want to stay private, but I don't see the problem with you posting a photo of the two of you on your social media. What do you mean you want to stay nonchalant? Like, do you still want to appear single? Like, is this what you're trying to tell me? That's how I'd personally feel, because by sharing a photo of the two of you together, you're not sharing private, intimate details of your relationship. You're literally just being like, we're a couple, we're in a relationship, just the way, you know, people tend to know if somebody's in a relationship or if somebody's single. There's a difference between a relationship being private versus it being a secret, you know? They're two very different things, you know? I'd understand him wanting to keep it private, but why do you want to keep it a secret? A lot of people just have a private Instagram account or a private Facebook account. Like, it's not like it's public for everybody to see, or it's not like you have 100,000 followers. You know, it's normally just like a normal Facebook, Instagram page like we all have. So that's where I'd have questions, and I don't care if it's your first relationship or not. I feel like a lot of the time people can use that as an excuse, but it's like, why are you in a relationship if you don't want anybody to know about it? That would be my question. I'd personally ask him. That's what I'd do. I'd be like, why don't you want anybody to know we're together? Because it would just make me feel like he has ulterior motives, or else he's talking to other people, or he's doing something that he shouldn't be doing. Okay, so I'm talking to two lads at the moment. Both I have met once. Is it bad if I see both again? Absolutely not. Because you owe neither of them anything, you know. You don't owe them commitment, you don't owe them loyalty. You have met them once. That is part of dating, you know. I'm sure both of these guys have probably gone on dates with other girls, or are texting other girls, or maybe on a dating site talking to other people. Unless yous have actually communicated that there is a label on this, we are exclusive, we are not seeing other people, you don't owe anybody anything. And especially when you've only seen somebody once. I feel like this is how a lot of us women can fall into relationships or situations with people that we shouldn't be involved with in the first place, by putting all our eggs in one basket too soon, you know. So you don't know the first thing about either of these guys yet at the minute, so allow yourself to get to know them, see who they are as a person, see, do you get on, do you click, are you compatible? Okay, so situationships, but you really love the person and they don't want a label with you. I hate our generation so much. I feel like situationships were the worst thing to ever happen to us, and they are all so common now as well. I honestly feel like it's a canon event this time that we are all destined to be in a situationship and just see how terribly they go, because I've been there in the past. But I feel like you really need to separate your feelings with the reality of the situation. They're telling you that they don't want to label with you. Where can you go with this? Like, because if you truly love somebody as well, it is without conditions, you know, it's unconditional. And if you stay in this when you love somebody and they don't want to label with you, you are just gonna get absolutely heartbroken. And, you know, the only thing that will happen as well is they're going to take advantage of you. They're going to take advantage of the fact you love them. They're going to take advantage of the fact that you're not going anywhere. They know what they're doing. They're wrapping you around their little pinky finger. At the end of the day, they're going to say, I was honest with her. Like, I told you how I felt. I told you I didn't want a label, but you still stuck around, so that's on you. As hard as it is, like, we really have to listen to what people tell us. Like, people tell us how they feel, and as much as we want to go la 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 and pretend it's not happening, it is happening. And if you don't pull the rug out from under your feet now, it's going to get pulled out from under your feet at some time in the future, and it's probably going to hurt even more than if it's on your terms. Oh, years ago I was in a situationship, and I was in a situationship for like 8 months. It ended up finishing, and then like 10 months later he came back and he was like, I'm so sorry, like, you know, I realized how much I feel for you, and please give me a shot to show you how good I'll be to you. I'll put a marker down, yada yada yada. We ended up getting into a relationship then a couple months later. I feel like the worst thing I did was get into a relationship with somebody that I was in a situationship with, and then obviously we took a huge long break and we had a huge gap of time apart. The reason I say that is because I feel like he got so comfortable when we were in a situationship, like having me, but also obviously being able to do whatever he wanted. So then when we did get into a relationship, you know, things just kept coming out. If, for example, he went on like a month-long holiday at a point with a couple of his family members, and it ended up coming out months later that he'd been, you know, texting girls while he was out there, snapping girls, like hanging out with girls when he was in the nightclub, and just doing all this mad shit that you don't do when you're in a relationship. It was solely clearly because he got so comfortable when we were in a situationship having me but not having to commit, so much so that like when we got into a relationship, it's like this boy didn't realize that, hello, we're in a relationship now, like you cannot act like that. So I also feel like that makes it really tricky as well. You know, obviously it depends on the person and the situation, and I know people do go from situationships to being in a successful relationship, but I do feel like it's quite rare, because when something starts out casual, it's very hard, you know, for it not to be casual. I feel like especially, of course, I don't know your genders here, but I feel like especially with men, I don't know, I feel like they can struggle more with that dynamic shift. Okay, so what to do when a close old friend is being distant but you hate confrontation? I've literally just been through this, so you're asking the right girl, and as hard as it is, you literally have to bite the bullet. So I've had this friend for a few years now, and you know, we were so close, and then it was like the end of last year, and I just felt like she was being quite distant. I felt like I was making quite a lot of effort to make plans and see her, and I just didn't feel like it was being reciprocated. She'd gotten into a new relationship, you know, there was stuff going on in her life, and yeah. But anyways, it ended up going like 4 months where we literally hadn't spoken at all, and it was literally just like last week I kept getting the urge to message her, to contact her. Do you know when the urge is so strong to contact somebody, like I could not get it out of my head. I was getting ready one day, I was like, look, I'm just going to bite the bullet, I'm going to message her. I was just like, hey girl, I was like, I've been thinking about you a lot lately, I really miss you, I just wanted to check in and see how you were. It was something just really brief and vague like that, and she came back and was like, hey darling, she was like, I didn't think I'd ever hear from you again, and then just told me how she was. And I replied and I said, I feel like we need a big chat. Are you around today? And she was like, yeah, I am. And I said, do you want to just go for a walk? And we met up for a couple hours and had a big chat. I told her how I felt. She told me how she felt. And it was basically just like a miscommunication. Like, she had a lot of stuff going on in her life. She didn't see things obviously the way I saw them, and then when I explained them to her, she was like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, like I didn't even realise, like there was just so much going on, this and this, and yeah, everything is absolutely perfect now. Like, and I feel like that's what happens a lot of the time in adult friendship. Life happens, and that's what I said to her. Like, after we met up, she sent me a message. She was like, I just want to say I'm so sorry again, I feel like I was such a bitch. And I was like, no, I was like, life happens to us all, like please don't be feeling that way, like you're such a fucking angel, I love you. Lack of communication kills so many relationships, like including friendships, you know. So I feel like that is the best way to go about it. And as hard as it is, and you know, even though you might have that little inkling of being like, oh my god, what if it goes really badly, it's so unlikely it's going to go badly if you guys have been friends for a really long time, and if nobody has done anything extreme and nobody's hurt each other badly, you know, there's no reason as to why you guys can't move past this, but you have to communicate. I feel like that's the best way to do it, is how I did it. Like, send a message and then cut to the chase. Like, I feel like we need a big chat. Are you around? Are you free? Let's meet up. You know, you need to do it face to face, because text messages can be misinterpreted so easily. You know, if I had explained to her how I felt over text message, it could have been misinterpreted, you know. And I just feel like you cannot beat seeing someone and speaking to them face to face, and a lot of the time as well, it's going to be something that'll be sorted out so quickly. Like, when I met up with my friend, like the first hour was maybe us just like chatting, catching up as if nothing had happened, and then, you know, I told her how I felt and she was like, I'm so sorry, I didn't even realise. And I was like, no, don't be sorry, and you know, we're absolutely fine. Oh, sometimes life just gets all so consuming, and she might not realise she was being distant. Like, my friend didn't realise what, you know, was happening, and she then thought that I was mad with her when I wasn't mad with her. I was just like, I missed you, come back. Okay, so I accidentally added my ex on Facebook and he accepted. Should I tell my current partner? I personally would, because I'm sure if you ask yourself, if he did this, would you want him to tell you? I'm sure the answer would be yes. You know, if you don't tell him and he happens to notice that one day, which is a possibility, it's going to look fishy, it's going to look suspicious, it's going to look like you're up to no good, you know, and you're keeping something from him, like you're in contact with him. But if you tell him and you're upfront and honest, it shows that you have nothing to hide. And, you know, maybe he might ask you to remove him then. He might, you know, whatever. You go from there. You know, once you're honest, I feel like it's the most important thing. Like, honesty is the best policy. I feel like retaining information is just as bad as lying when it comes to your partner, because it's like, why are you retaining that? You know, why didn't you tell me? It just always raises questions. So my boyfriend has a problem with lying and keeps lying to me. I love him, but I don't know what to do. I was in a relationship with somebody who lied a lot before, and from my experience, they never changed. They just get better at lying. I feel like chronic liars are always going to be chronic liars, because why? Like, why are you lying all the time? I have an issue with lying. I cannot lie to save my goddamn life. Like, if there was a gun pointing to my head, I'd be dead. So yeah, I just feel you're never going to trust somebody who's always lying to you. Like, that was my experience. And I was always questioning him, and stuff constantly kept coming out and kept coming up, and just when you think you were able to trust them again, you'd find out another lie. You're literally never going to believe a word that comes out of their mouth. You cannot have a relationship with somebody you cannot trust a word that comes out of their mouth. You're going to then question, do you even love me? Do you want to be with me? If you're lying about all these other stuff, how can I trust that you love me? How that you want to be with me? You know, it makes it extremely messy and extremely toxic, I feel, when somebody keeps lying. I personally feel like from experience that it never changes. And, you know, that comes down to somebody's character, who they actually are as a person. And it doesn't seem like his values and his morals line up with your values and your morals. You know, you want to be with somebody that you can trust. You don't want to live your life questioning if everything is a lie. Girl, I just need to get this off my chest, because I 100% already know I should be cutting him off. Why are we like this? We're all like this, I swear to God. But I started seeing this guy back in February, and he's from Lebanon, like barely speaks English. So we had this huge miscommunication and didn't talk for 2 months. He comes back, says he's sorry, we work it out, everything is going great. We haven't slept or done anything together yet, and I'm ready, just waiting for the right time. So we go to the movies the other day, and I know he's expecting something from me, and as soon as the date is over, I tell him goodbye, because there's nowhere for us to go since we both live with our families. He goes quiet when I'm saying bye, won't look me in the eye, and then he messages me later saying that he's disappointed. And now it's been 2 days, and he's literally texting me one-word answers, not opening my messages for hours, where before he would be so consistent and active in our texting and conversations. I'm not crazy, right? Does it not seem he's only interested in sleeping with me? But get this, before this situation, he was giving me princess treatment, paying for everything, taking me everywhere I wanted to go, and actually making me feel so good and special, without the love bombing. I should probably stop talking to him, but I don't know what to do. Oh my God, girl, you answered your own question, I know, but I know you said you just needed a second opinion. His mask is slipping off, darling. His mask is slipping, and this is what happens with people. Like, give people enough time and enough space, and they will show you who they are. They will always. People can't help but expose themselves for who they really are. Yeah, he's 100% only interested in sleeping with you. It makes no sense as to why somebody would go from giving you the princess treatment to literally doing a 180 switch on you overnight after a date, you know, when you left without doing anything intimate with him. And I also feel like the fact that you've had a huge miscommunication before as well, and now this, like, surely if you've had a huge miscommunication and sorted it out, like, he should be making a real effort with you. Like, if he actually wanted to be with you and have this go somewhere, this wouldn't be his behaviour. So yeah, I feel like he can't help but show you how he is actually feeling through his actions, because he clearly feels what he's feeling so strongly. If I were you, I would stop talking to him, because you don't want to be intimate with somebody like this. Like, this is the exact kind of guy that once you're intimate with him, he's going to ghost you and you're never going to hear from him again, and he does not deserve access to you or your body in that way, in any way, shape or form. Absolutely not. Get rid, put him in the bin, put him in the bin. Okay, so my partner ended things with me recently due to his mental health. Should I wait for him? Now, the first thing I'd say is that this is your life too. I know he's going through stuff and he has his own feelings, but likewise, so do you. Deciding to leave the relationship is a big decision. I would say, I'm sure that you were willing to support him and be there for him and help him get through this, as any partner would. When you're with somebody long term, you're both gonna go through things. You know, that is not a reason to break up. And I know people have their shit, we all have our shit, but you should be able to work through it together, and there's gonna be some difficult days, difficult weeks, but you will get through it together, you know. And it's a huge decision to decide to leave, but obviously he's entitled to do that, you know. But you also have to respect that he made that decision, and I feel like waiting on him is unfair for you, because as I said, this is your life too. Like, you cannot wait on somebody and then 6 months, a year later, they turn around and say, yeah, I'm doing much better, but I still don't want to get back with you. Like, you cannot hold out hope, I feel, for someone like that, for some situation like that, because you never know what way it's going to go. I don't understand why he had to break up with you. Like, why couldn't you have maybe just had a little bit more space? Maybe if he needed to work on himself, you know, he could have expressed that maybe he's not in a good place now, he needs to go to therapy, he needs to work on himself, whatever he needed to do, and have a bit more distance and a bit more time apart, but not break up, you know. Like, that could have been a possibility. So accept it for what it is, because you cannot do anything else. Then take it from there. Like, if he does happen to come back to you one day, reevaluate the situation, then see what's happened, see where he's at, see where you're at, see where you feel, and go from there. But you know, you also might feel like if you did get back together, is he just gonna leg it when things get hard again? Okay, maybe he worked through his shit, but what if you started struggling? Is he gonna leg it then and saying, this is too much for me, you know? Because now, of course, I don't know the ins and outs of your relationship, only you do, so only you know in your heart what is the best thing to do, because you have all the details. But I personally feel like you just need to move forward and focus on yourself as much as you can, to heal from the situation, to move on from it as much you can, because there's nothing else you can do. You can't put your life on hold for somebody who decided to up and leave, no matter the situation. You know, people use all different reasons for leaving relationships all the time, and a lot of the time people will give a reason that isn't even the reason. You know, you don't know what's going on with people a lot of the time. They don't tell you the full story a lot of the time. People are crazy. Why do people do the things they do? I don't know. I'd love to know though. So how did you get the doctors to take you seriously about PCOS with a slim body type? I feel I'm getting overlooked for being slim despite having cystic ovaries and my periods are becoming irregular, but my hormones and hair growth are normal. Yeah, so I was not taken seriously at all. If you are slim, you will not be taken seriously. I was just put on the pill, and I was on the pill for 5 years, and it was only when I came off the pill and didn't have a period for the guts of a year that they started doing examinations and seeing what was going on, because I was having all the symptoms, no periods, and you literally couldn't tell me that there was nothing wrong with me anymore, you know. But I was basically just persistent about going back to the doctor and explaining what my issues were. My best advice would be to be persistent, do not give up, and also go to a different doctor if you can. So this only happened to me recently, and this is crazy because I was diagnosed with PCOS like 5 or 6 years ago now. But recently, a number of months ago, I changed doctor surgery. So new doctor now, and I was talking to him, I was having issues, and I was telling him that I had PCOS. And he looked at me and gave me the dirtiest look, and he goes, what? He goes, you don't look anything like the girls that come in here with PCOS. And I was like, here we go again. I was like, well, tell that to my ovaries. He did not believe me. He fully thought I was pulling this out of my ass. So he literally said, because he was doing my bloods anyway, he says, I'm going to do a blood test for PCOS too, because there's a special type of blood test you can do for PCOS. He did not believe me. And anyways, lo and behold, my bloods came back, and he was like, oh yeah, you do have PCOS, you know, it came up in your hormones, your blood test, and I have cystic ovaries and really irregular periods. They're not as bad now as they used to be. Another possibility is that you might just have PCO, so polycystic ovaries, because PCO and PCOS are two different things. So yeah, I would just get a second opinion really, because it is a process and a nightmare to get diagnosed with absolutely anything. Oh my goodness. Like, anything I've been diagnosed with, it has taken me years to get a diagnosis, even though I often suspected the diagnosis years before I got it, you know, because nobody knows your body better than you. Like, you know your body, you know if something's not right, and if something's not right, you got to keep advocating for yourself, you got to keep pushing for yourself, and you will get there eventually. And once you get there, you will be like, oh, I'm not insane. I'm not losing my mind like I thought I was. I was right all this time. They were just gaslighting me. They were just brushing me off. just like they do to most people, you know. Oh my goodness, I feel like we have gotten through a lot today, more than we have in one of these girl talks in quite a while. So I really hope you enjoyed. Make sure you're following me on Instagram if you want to get involved in my next one, because I always ask for questions over there. Don't forget that there is a link down below for Fabletics where you can get any 2 trousers for £19 and 80% off absolutely everything. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this. I really did, and I love you so much, and I can't wait to see you all in my next video. Bye bye, friends.